What if I told you that the most powerful way to keep a man loyal has nothing to do with how you look or even what you do in bed? It's a secret that slips past his defenses, a whisper that goes straight to his heart, and once he hears it, he'll never forget you, and he'll never want to risk losing you. When people think about relationships and what keeps someone loyal, the first thought often goes to the physical side. It's easy to believe that as long as the chemistry in bed is strong, a man will never stray. But the truth runs much deeper than that. What men crave is not only the rush of passion, but the emotional depth that surrounds those intimate moments. It's the difference between a temporary spark and a lasting fire. The physical side of intimacy is powerful, yes, but without the layer of emotional connection, it risks becoming hollow over time. A man who feels emotionally seen and understood in those private moments experiences something much more valuable than physical pleasure. He experiences significance, and significance is what keeps him coming back, not just to your body, but to you as a person. Think about the world he lives in every day. Men are often taught to be strong, to avoid showing weakness, to carry pressure without complaint. They are expected to perform, to provide, and to push through stress without cracking. In most areas of his life, he feels like he is on stage, playing a role. At work, with friends, sometimes even with family, he carries expectations. But in intimacy, when he is with you, he craves the opposite. He doesn't want another stage. He doesn't want another role. He wants to drop the armor. What he seeks, often without saying it out loud, is the freedom to be vulnerable without judgment. He wants to feel that the person he is with isn't just enjoying the physical act, but is connected to who he is beneath the surface. That connection is rare, and once he experiences it, he begins to value it more than anything else. When you bring emotional depth into intimacy, you make him feel that he is not just desired for his body, but for his presence, his essence, his very soul. This doesn't happen through grand gestures or constant verbal reassurances. It happens in the smallest moments. A look in your eyes that tells him you are fully present with him. The softness in your tone when you whisper his name. The words you choose that make him feel he is not just performing, but being truly experienced and valued. These subtle actions communicate that you see him, not as a man checking boxes in the bedroom, but as the one person who matters most in that moment. That feeling of being deeply recognized is what forges loyalty. It becomes the glue that binds him emotionally to you. Without this depth, even the most exciting physical connection can eventually fade. Men can find pleasure anywhere, but what they cannot easily find is a partner who gives them a space where they feel completely accepted and safe. That is what makes a relationship different from a casual encounter. When he feels that the intimacy between you is also an emotional home, he starts to view you not just as his lover, but as his sanctuary. And once a man feels he has a sanctuary, the temptation to look elsewhere weakens because nothing else compares. In essence, men want to feel that the physical closeness is an expression of something greater, something meaningful. It reassures him that he is not replaceable, that he holds a place in your heart and mind that no one else can occupy. The physical side satisfies his body, but the emotional depth feeds his spirit. That combination is what keeps him loyal. That is what makes intimacy not just a fleeting high, but a bond that stays long after the lights go out. The idea of a dirty secret in intimacy often gets misunderstood. People immediately think of something shocking or scandalous, something purely physical. But the real power of this so-called secret lies in emotional vulnerability. When you are in the middle of an intimate moment, there is already a heightened state of closeness. The body is engaged. The senses are heightened and defenses are lowered. It is in that exact space where words hold a power they don't have anywhere else. Whispering a secret or truth in his ear at that moment isn't about manipulation or playing a game. It is about offering him something raw, something private, something that only he gets to hear. This is what makes the whisper so unforgettable. It isn't the volume of your voice, but the intimacy of the message that changes everything. What most people overlook is that vulnerability is one of the most seductive qualities you can bring into a relationship. To be vulnerable is to say something that feels risky, something that feels deeply personal, something that reveals a part of you that isn't on display to the world. And when you do that in an intimate setting, you're creating a memory that bonds you together. He doesn't just feel the physical closeness of your bodies, he feels the emotional closeness of being trusted with something special. Men don't always articulate it, but when a woman reveals a side of herself that no one else sees, it makes him feel like he has entered into an exclusive world. That sense of exclusivity is powerful. It tells him, I'm not just giving you my body, I'm giving you a part of my truth. That's the kind of gift a man remembers long after the moment ends. This so-called dirty secret doesn't even have to be something shocking in a traditional sense. It could be a desire you've never voiced before, a confession of how deeply he affects you, or even a phrase that ties him emotionally to the experience you're sharing. What matters is that it feels authentic, something you would not casually say to just anyone. That's what makes it a secret. It's not about inventing something to sound provocative. It's about leaning into honesty at a time when both of you are most open. When you whisper a truth that you hold close, it cuts through the noise of everything else in his life. It stays with him. It gives him the sense that in your world, he holds a place that no one else can touch. The power of doing this while he is deeply connected to you physically cannot be overstated. The body is already in a state of heightened awareness, and emotions are amplified. The words you choose sink deeper because the mind and body are tuned in together. Whispering a secret then makes it feel like time slows down, like the world outside of the room no longer exists. He hears it not just with his ears, but with his heart. And the reason it has such a strong effect is because in those moments, you are essentially fusing pleasure with emotional truth. That combination is intoxicating, and it becomes a reference point he will always return to in his memory. When you give him that kind of secret, you are also sending a silent message. You're saying, you are safe with me. I can be real with you. I can give you a side of myself that no one else gets. That is what makes him feel not only closer, but also deeply tied to you. It is no longer just about the physical act. It is about an unspoken pact. You showed him something private, something that belongs to the two of you alone, and that makes the bond feel sacred. For a man, that kind of intimacy becomes a reason to stay faithful, because what you share together goes far beyond what the physical world can offer. Men may enjoy attention from others, but what keeps them loyal is the feeling that what they share with you is rare. Rarity has a kind of magic that cannot be faked. It makes something more valuable because it is not easily found, not easily replaced, and not something that can be given to just anyone. When you create the experience of rarity in your relationship, he starts to feel like he has been granted access to a side of you that no one else can touch. That is what keeps his loyalty anchored, because deep down, people treasure what feels scarce, and they hold on tighter to what they know they can't simply find again. For a man, the idea of being chosen carries immense weight. The world constantly gives him opportunities to feel replaceable, whether it's at work, in his social life, or even in dating culture. But when he feels that the version of you he gets in intimacy is something unique, something you don't show to anyone else, he begins to see himself as irreplaceable in your world. This is more than physical satisfaction. It's the knowledge that he is experiencing a side of you reserved only for him. It creates the sense that he has stepped into a private realm where the door is closed to everyone else. That is what rarity looks like, and it makes him protective of it, because losing it would feel like losing something priceless. The truth is, men don't stay faithful because a woman is physically attractive. There are attractive people everywhere. What they stay faithful to is the feeling of being part of an exclusive connection. If he believes he has something others cannot access, the temptation to cheat fades because no other experience would match the one he already has. This doesn't mean being distant or withholding, but it does mean saving the deepest layers of your vulnerability, your passion, and your emotional truth for him alone. When he feels that intimacy with you is a treasure that no one else has been given, he guards it. He protects it because it elevates him. It makes him feel like he belongs to something extraordinary. This sense of rarity can be created in very subtle ways. It could be the way you touch him that no one else ever has, the way you whisper words that carry meaning only between the two of you, or the way you reveal emotions that you never put on display in your everyday life. When he notices that what you share in those moments is different from what anyone else gets from you, it builds a wall around your connection. That wall doesn't make him feel trapped. It makes him feel privileged. It makes him understand that what he has with you cannot be duplicated with someone else. People naturally value what feels rare because it taps into a deep psychological truth. Scarcity makes us pay attention. If we believe something is easily found, we take it for granted. But if we believe it is one of a kind, we protect it fiercely. The same is true in relationships. When you give him the experience of rarity, you are not only keeping the passion alive, you are also giving him a reason to choose you again and again. He won't want to risk losing that kind of connection because he knows he could search the world and still never find another version of it. Words are powerful on their own, but when they are spoken in the heat of intimacy, their power multiplies. The bedroom is not just a place for physical closeness, it is also a place where emotions are heightened, where barriers fall away, and where every sense is alive. In that space, the mind becomes more open, the heart more receptive, and the memory more permanent. What you whisper in those moments does not feel like ordinary conversation. It sinks into him, leaving an imprint that lingers long after the moment is over. Words in the bedroom carry double the weight because they are tied to both emotion and physical sensation, and the combination of those two forces makes them unforgettable. When you whisper something in his ear while he is most connected to you, it creates a fusion between your words and the intensity of the experience. The body and the mind are in a heightened state, and what you say becomes linked to that peak. It's the reason why a phrase spoken in that instant stays with him in a way no casual conversation could. It's not only what you say, but when you say it. That timing makes your words echo in his thoughts because they were delivered at a moment when he was most open to receiving them. A man may forget the details of an argument or a conversation had over dinner, but he rarely forgets what was whispered when his emotions and desires were at their peak. This is why the words you choose matter so much. When you tell him how much you crave him, how much he satisfies you, or how much he belongs to you in that space, it penetrates deeper than just his ears. It becomes an affirmation that ties his pleasure to his sense of worth. It tells him he is not just someone filling a role, but someone who matters in a way no one else does. Those words become a seed planted in his mind, and they grow into a powerful memory that reinforces the bond you share. Every time he thinks about you, those words resurface, reminding him of how deeply he is connected to you. The impact of words in intimacy is also about exclusivity. If he believes that the words you whisper are not things you would casually say to anyone, it makes the moment sacred. It gives him the sense that he has access to a part of you no one else knows. That belief builds loyalty because it makes him feel chosen, it makes him feel significant, and it makes him feel tied to you in a way he doesn't want to lose. Men may not always admit it, but they long to feel irreplaceable, and the words you speak when you are closest to him feed that desire. Even small phrases can transform a man's perception of intimacy when delivered in the right moment. A simple confession of how much he excites you or how much you need him in that moment can become a memory he replays again and again. Because those words were tied to heightened emotion and pleasure, they are reinforced in his mind as something meaningful. They create an association where your voice, your touch, and your words become a single powerful memory that he cannot detach from. This is why words in the bedroom cannot be underestimated. They are not casual, they are not fleeting, and they are not forgotten. They carry the weight of intimacy, the intensity of desire, and the permanence of vulnerability. They shape the way he sees you, the way he feels about you, and the way he remembers you. And once they take root, they create a bond that becomes nearly impossible to break. When a man is in an intimate moment with you, he is not only searching for physical release, but also for affirmation that he is unique in your world. One of the most powerful ways to give him that reassurance is through the words you choose to whisper when you are closest to him. If those words make him feel like yours alone, something shifts in his mind. It's no longer just about attraction or desire, it becomes about identity and belonging. He begins to tie his sense of masculinity, his role in your life, and his worth to the connection you share. When you whisper something that makes him feel like he is irreplaceable, he doesn't just hear it, he absorbs it, and it becomes a truth he holds on to. This works because men, despite the masks they wear, want to feel chosen. In a world full of competition, judgment, and constant comparison, a man craves a space where he knows he cannot be replaced. If you tell him in those heightened moments that no one else makes you feel the way he does, or that he is the only one who can satisfy you the way he does, it ignites something inside him. He feels not only desired, but needed. That need feeds into his deepest instinct to protect, to provide, and to remain loyal. He doesn't want to risk losing the place he holds in your life because it makes him feel significant in a way nothing else does. When you speak to him like this, it's not about flattery or empty praise. Men can sense when words are hollow. It's about tying your words to genuine feelings that reflect the truth of how much he matters to you in that moment. The sincerity in your voice, the softness in your whisper, the conviction behind what you say makes him believe it fully. And when he believes it, it becomes his reality. He starts to see himself not as just another man in your life, but as the one. That belief creates a bond of loyalty because he equates being with you as part of who he is. To betray that bond would feel like betraying himself. These whispers also work on a deeper psychological level. When you associate his body, his presence, and his role in your life with words of exclusivity, you anchor his mind to you. You are giving him an emotional experience that others cannot offer. He doesn't just remember the physical sensation, he remembers the words that crowned him as the one person who has access to your vulnerability and passion. That memory becomes a kind of emotional tattoo, a mark he carries with him long after the moment has passed. It becomes something he replays in his head during quiet moments, and it reassures him that he is not just wanted but essential. It's important to understand that these whispers are not about manipulation. They are about creating a genuine emotional exchange that deepens the bond between you. When you tell him he is yours in a way that no one else could ever be, you aren't tricking him. You are reinforcing the truth of your connection. The intimacy of those words makes him want to live up to them, to be the man you already make him feel like he is. It inspires loyalty, not out of fear, but out of pride and devotion. He doesn't want to cheat because what you've given him feels too rare, too meaningful, too tied to his identity to ever risk losing. In the end, making a man feel like yours alone is about more than passion. It's about creating a narrative in his mind that he is your one and only, and no one else could take his place. Once he believes that, once he feels it in the core of who he is, the thought of betraying you becomes unthinkable. The idea of whispering a secret in the middle of intimacy can sound like a tactic, something meant to control a man or make him act a certain way, but the truth is that it is not about manipulation at all. The real goal is connection. It is about creating a bond so strong that cheating feels unnatural, like betraying himself, not just betraying you. When you whisper something vulnerable, something raw, you aren't trying to trick him. You are letting him see a side of you that is deeply personal. That act of openness forms a connection that cannot be faked or copied. A man stays faithful not because someone is forcing him to, but because he feels the bond is too precious to break. Manipulation might hold someone for a while, but it never lasts. It creates pressure, guilt, or fear, and those emotions eventually push people away. Connection, on the other hand, is magnetic. It pulls someone closer and makes them want to stay. When you are vulnerable in those private moments, you are building something magnetic. You are saying, without words, that you trust him enough to reveal a part of yourself that no one else gets to see. That trust makes him feel not only important but also responsible. He begins to carry that bond with him outside of the bedroom, and it influences the choices he makes when temptation arises. Loyalty becomes natural because he does not want to shatter what you have given him. This kind of connection is powerful because it reaches into the emotional needs that men rarely express. Many men are taught to hide their feelings, to appear strong and in control, but intimacy gives them a chance to put down that armor. When you meet him in that space, with honesty and vulnerability, you give him permission to do the same. That shared experience creates a level of trust that is rare, and once he feels it, he doesn't want to lose it. He associates you with the freedom to be himself fully and without judgment. That is something no casual fling can offer, and it's why he will keep choosing you. The words you whisper in those moments do not need to be complicated. They simply need to carry truth. It could be telling him how much you feel connected to him, how deeply he affects you, or how safe you feel when you're with him. Those words are not about strategy. They are about revealing your feelings in the moment. And because they are spoken when he is most open, they sink deeper. They are etched into his memory as proof of the bond you share. He remembers not only the words, but the way they made him feel, and that memory becomes a reason to protect the relationship. It's also important to understand that connection in intimacy strengthens everything outside of it. When a man feels emotionally bonded during your most private moments, he carries that closeness into the rest of the relationship. He becomes more attentive, more protective, and more invested. Cheating stops being about right or wrong in his mind. It becomes about not wanting to destroy the connection that makes him feel whole. That is the kind of loyalty that cannot be forced, only inspired. At its core, the secret is not about giving him lines that trap him, but about giving him pieces of your truth that tie him to you. When he feels that the intimacy between you is not just physical, but deeply emotional, the relationship transforms. He doesn't just see you as his partner, he sees you as his confidant, his sanctuary, his home. And when a man feels that kind of connection, the thought of cheating feels like throwing away the best part of his life. That is why the secret works. Not because it manipulates, but because it connects. In the end, what keeps a man faithful isn't the thrill of passion alone, but the bond you create in the moments when the world fades away and it's just the two of you. It's the whispers that carry weight, the secrets that reveal your vulnerability, the words that make him feel like yours and yours alone. Men don't stay loyal because they are forced to. They stay loyal because they don't want to lose the one person who gave them something they can't find anywhere else. When intimacy becomes more than physical, when it becomes emotional, sacred, and rare, he will guard it with everything he has. And that's the real secret. It's not about control, it's about connection. And once that connection is built, cheating won't even feel like an option.